Picture a bouncer with a philosophy degree walks into a bar that doesn't exist, gets hit by a real log, and becomes a cult legend. That's Roadhouse in a nutshell, but the real story is far stranger. When Roadhouse hit theaters, critics savaged it. Patrick Swayze himself hated the mullet they gave him. Yet somehow, this messy mix of barroom brawls, throat-ripping, and oddly sincere philosophy became one of the most beloved action films of its era. Behind the scenes, the production was just as chaotic as the double deuce on a Saturday night. Real musicians played fake gigs. Stunt coordinators built entire buildings just to blow them up. And somewhere in the editing room, nearly half the movie disappeared forever. Let's start with that philosophy degree, because it's the detail that makes everything else click into place. Number 1. Dalton's secret degree. Most action heroes of the 1980s were defined by muscles, one-liners, and an aversion to thinking too hard. Then along came Dalton, a bouncer who casually mentions he majored in philosophy at NYU. It's the kind of detail that could have been a throwaway joke, but screenwriter David Lee Henry made it central to the character. The philosophy degree explained everything about how Dalton operates. His calm demeanor, his be nice mantra, his ability to read people all stem from this foundation. While other bouncers relied on intimidation, Dalton approached violence as a last resort, preferring to de-escalate through understanding human nature. This choice elevated Roadhouse beyond typical bar fight cinema. Dalton reads books, practices Tai Chi at sunrise, and quotes wisdom that sounds like meditation material. Critics mocked the pretension, but fans recognized a character who embodied both intellect and physical prowess. That philosophy degree is why Dalton became an icon. Number 2. The bar that never existed. The Double Deuce feels so authentically dive bar grimy that audiences assumed it was filmed in some actual honky-tonk. In reality, the entire establishment was built from scratch. Production designer John J. Lloyd constructed the bar as a set in California, designing every sticky table and beer-stained wall to create the illusion of decades of hard living. Building from the ground up gave filmmakers complete control. They could choreograph elaborate fight scenes without damaging a real business. The custom construction allowed for breakaway furniture, reinforced stunt areas, and impossible camera angles. Once filming wrapped, the Double Deuce got demolished. The set was torn down, leaving no physical trace of what became one of cinema's most memorable locations. Fans still search for it, but that Roadhouse only ever existed in Hollywood's carefully constructed illusion, which somehow makes its legend even more perfect. Number 3. Swayze hated that mullet. Patrick Swayze arrived on set with leading man good looks that had already made him a star. Then the hair department gave him one of the most aggressively 1980s mullets ever captured on film. Business in front, party in back, and regret everywhere in between. Swayze made no secret of his distaste for the hairstyle. The mullet wasn't Swayze's choice. It was a studio decision meant to make Dalton look like he belonged in a rough-and-tumble roadhouse. Executives wanted working-class masculinity and blue-collar toughness. Swayze felt it undermined the character's sophistication, especially given Dalton's philosophical leanings. History proved Swayze both right and wrong. The mullet contributed to the film's campy reputation and gave critics ammunition. Yet that ridiculous hairstyle became inseparable from Roadhouse's cult appeal, embodying the movie's contradiction. Sincere and absurd, tough and silly. Swayze may have hated it, but that mullet became as iconic as Dalton's roundhouse kicks. Number 4. The real log that hit Swayze. Action films thrive on the illusion of danger while keeping actors safe through choreography and effects. Roadhouse had other ideas. During one fight sequence, Patrick Swayze was supposed to dodge a prop log being swung at him. Instead, he got smacked with genuine hardwood and the cameras kept rolling. The accident happened because of the production's commitment to practical stunts and minimal safety padding. When timing went wrong, Swayze took a legitimate hit that left him bruised but determined to continue. His martial arts background had conditioned him to work through pain, and he refused to let getting clubbed slow down production. This incident captured the film's approach to fight choreography. Every punch and kick was designed to feel brutally authentic. Swayze performed many of his own stunts, insisting on realism that translated to screen credibility. The fights felt dangerous because they actually were, giving Roadhouse its raw, unpolished edge. Number 5. The band was actually there. Most movies fake their musical performances, with actors miming to pre-recorded tracks. Roadhouse took a different approach by putting the Jeff Healey Band directly on camera as the Double Deuce's house musicians. They appear throughout as a genuine performing act, not random extras pretending to play instruments. Jeff Healey was already an acclaimed blues rock guitarist known for his unique playing style and powerful voice. The production hired his entire band to perform as themselves, which meant the sequences carried authentic energy. Their songs were professionally recorded for the soundtrack, but their on-screen presence added credibility. Using actual musicians gave the bar scenes distinctive energy that elevated the production. The band became part of the roadhouse ecosystem, witnesses to the violence Dalton had to control. Featuring real talent playing real music was another example of choosing authenticity over convenience, a choice that paid off in atmosphere and cult classic longevity. Number 6. Dalton's obsession with Buicks. When a character's ride becomes as iconic as the character himself, you know the filmmakers chose wisely. Dalton drives not one, but two classic Buick Rivieras throughout Roadhouse, a 1964 model and a 1965 model. These weren't random vehicles, they were carefully selected symbols of Dalton's personality. The Buick Riviera represented understated elegance with serious power underneath. These weren't flashy muscle machines, they were sophisticated cruisers that appealed to people who appreciated quality without announcing it. Dalton's choice perfectly matched his philosophy degree-holding, Tai Chi practicing approach to life. Car enthusiasts immediately noticed clever details in how the vehicles were used. The Rivieras suggested Dalton had money and taste beyond what his bouncer job implied, raising questions the film deliberately left unanswered. These cars became mobile extensions of his character, smooth, powerful, classic, and impossibly cool. Number 7. The actress they replaced. Chemistry between leads can make or break a film, especially when romance plays a crucial role. Roadhouse originally cast Annette Bening as Doc, the small-town physician who becomes Dalton's love interest. Bening was talented and on the verge of stardom, but something essential was missing when she shared scenes with Patrick Swayze. The lack of romantic spark became apparent during early rehearsals. Despite both actors' considerable talents, their dynamic felt more like friendly colleagues than passionate lovers. The filmmakers needed heat and tension, not polite professionalism. They brought in Kelly Lynch, whose chemistry with Swayze proved immediately compelling. Lynch brought different energy to Doc, earthier, more sensual, with an edge that matched the film's raw atmosphere. Her scenes with Swayze crackled with the attraction the story demanded. The recasting worked out perfectly, giving Roadhouse the romantic fire it needed. Number 8. The martial arts mismatch. One of Roadhouse's most interesting contradictions lives in how Dalton practices versus how he fights. The film shows him performing graceful Tai Chi at sunrise, moving through slow, meditative forms. Then the bar opens, and suddenly he's deploying brutal Hapkido techniques that send bodies flying through windows. This wasn't an oversight, it was deliberate. Tai Chi represented his philosophical side, the part that wanted harmony and avoided conflict. The soft movements embodied his be nice approach. But when niceness stopped working, Dalton switched to Hapkido, a Korean martial art known for joint locks, throws, and aggressive defense. The combination created a character who genuinely tried peaceful solutions before unleashing controlled violence. The martial arts mismatch became a physical manifestation of the film's central theme, the tension between civilization and chaos, philosophy and action, being nice until it's time not to be. Number 9. Trailer scenes that vanished. Anyone who watched the Roadhouse theatrical trailer before seeing the film experienced something strange, remembering scenes that weren't in the movie. The promotional materials featured at least 5 moments that disappeared during editing, creating a disconnect between what audiences expected and what they got. These phantom scenes included extended dialogue, alternate takes of fight sequences, and character moments suggesting a longer version once existed. Some showed different angles or varied action implying multiple passes at key scenes. Fans who caught the trailer carried memories of these vanished moments for years. The trailer's ghost scenes hint at how much footage was shot versus what survived final cuts. Studios often assemble promotions before finalizing the edit, using placeholder footage that never makes the theatrical version. For Roadhouse, these disappeared moments became part of the mythology, tantalizing glimpses of a story that might have been. Number 10. Missouri shot in California. The fictional town of Jasper looks convincingly Midwestern on screen, with its small-town Main Street, local bar culture, and surrounding countryside. There's just one problem. None of it was filmed in Missouri. The entire production took place in California, with location scouting and set design creating the illusion. Filmmakers chose California for practical reasons: better weather, established infrastructure, proximity to Hollywood resources, and lower costs. Building the Double Deuce set and finding suitable locations proved easier and cheaper on the West Coast. The decision sacrificed geographical authenticity for budget efficiency. The movie magic worked remarkably well. Few audiences questioned whether they were really seeing Missouri until credits rolled. Production designers studied Midwestern architecture to recreate the right atmosphere. It's a reminder that Hollywood's greatest trick isn't making you believe the impossible, it's making you believe you're somewhere you're not. Number 11. Dalton's book cameo. Literature might seem out of place in a movie about barroom brawls, but Roadhouse includes a surprisingly specific literary detail. During a quiet moment, Dalton is shown reading Legends of the Fall by Jim Harrison. This wasn't just any random book, it was a deliberate choice that reveals layers about the character. Legends of the Fall is a novella about masculine codes of honor, family loyalty, violence, and men navigating moral complexity in rough environments. The thematic overlap with Dalton's story is striking. The book choice suggested Dalton wasn't just philosophically educated, he actively engaged with serious literature. The connection gets even more interesting. Just 5 years later, Legends of the Fall became a major Hollywood film starring Brad Pitt. Whether intentional or coincidental, this literary cameo created an unexpected bridge between two very different movies. Number 12. The Elvis connection. Supporting casts often hide fascinating backstories, and Roadhouse features a connection to rock and roll royalty that most viewers miss. Red Webster, the intimidating enforcer who works for villain Brad Wesley, is played by Red West. That name might not register immediately, but West was a real-life member of Elvis Presley's inner circle, part of the infamous Memphis Mafia. West wasn't just some casual acquaintance. He was Elvis's close friend, bodyguard, and confidant for years. He protected the king, traveled with him, and lived inside the chaotic world of one of music's biggest legends. After his time with Elvis ended, West transitioned into acting, bringing authentic toughness to roles requiring physical intimidation. His casting added unintentional depth to the character. Red Webster needed to feel genuinely dangerous, and having a former Elvis bodyguard play the role brought real-world toughness that couldn't be faked. Number 13. The stunt double rumors. Action movies typically rely heavily on stunt doubles to keep expensive stars safe during dangerous sequences. Roadhouse took a different approach that blurred the line between actor and stuntman. Rumors have swirled for decades about how much Patrick Swayze actually performed himself versus how much was handed off to doubles during the brutal fight scenes. The truth is more impressive than most realize. Swayze's background in dance and martial arts meant he could handle far more physical demands than typical leading men. He insisted on performing many of his own stunts, wanting the fights to feel authentic and the camera to capture his actual physicality. Stunt doubles did step in for the most dangerous moments, massive falls or sequences where injury risk was too high. But the production used minimal doubling compared to similar action films. When you see Dalton fighting, you're watching Swayze far more often than you'd expect, which explains why the action feels so visceral. Number 14. Swayze sings on the soundtrack. Patrick Swayze brought more than acting and fighting skills to Roadhouse. He also contributed his voice to the film's soundtrack. This surprises many fans who assume the music came entirely from professional musicians, like the Jeff Healey Band. Swayze recorded a song that became part of the movie's audio landscape. His musical contribution wasn't just vanity. Swayze had genuine singing ability and had performed vocally in other projects. For Roadhouse, his involvement deepened his connection to the material and gave him creative input beyond his on-screen role. The song fit the film's tone, rock, emotion, and that distinctly late 1980s sound. Most viewers never realize they're hearing Swayze's voice because the music blends seamlessly into the atmosphere. It's another example of how much he invested in the project. Between stunts, that mullet, and recording music, Swayze threw himself completely into making Roadhouse work. Number 15. Exploding a fake store for real. When movies need to blow something up, they face a choice: use special effects or destroy something real. For one of Roadhouse's most explosive moments, the destruction of Red's auto parts, the filmmakers went big. They built a complete storefront facade, specifically to obliterate it with actual pyrotechnics. Red's auto parts wasn't a working business. It was a constructed set designed to be rigged with explosives and spectacularly destroyed. Building a dedicated structure gave the crew complete control without endangering real property. The facade was engineered to explode dramatically while maintaining safety protocols. The practical explosion delivered visceral impact that digital effects of the era couldn't match. Real fire, real debris, real shockwaves created authenticity audiences could feel. The crew had one chance to get it right. Once that store exploded, there was no rebuilding for another take. Number 16. The hidden Western template. Strip away the 1980s soundtrack and modern setting, and Roadhouse reveals itself as something surprisingly traditional, a classic Western dressed in contemporary clothes. Dalton is essentially a wandering cowboy hero, a hired gun brought into a lawless town to restore order. The parallels run deep. Like Shane or the Man with No Name, Dalton arrives as a mysterious stranger with a dangerous reputation. The Double Deuce is the saloon where trouble brews. Brad Wesley is the corrupt cattle baron, controlling the town through intimidation. Even the romance follows Western conventions, the respectable local woman who sees beyond the hero's violent profession. This Western framework explains why Roadhouse feels oddly timeless despite its dated elements. The story taps into archetypal narratives about civilization versus chaos, and the lonely men who walk the line between both worlds. Number 17. Critics destroyed it. When Roadhouse hit theaters in May 1989, critics sharpened their knives. Reviews ranged from dismissive to outright hostile, with many treating the film as a joke rather than legitimate entertainment. Major publications mocked everything from the plot to the performances to the philosophy-spouting bouncer premise. The critical consensus found the film simultaneously too serious about its silly premise and too silly to take seriously. Reviewers questioned why barroom bouncers needed this much dramatic weight. They ridiculed the throat-ripping violence, the overwrought romance, and the attempt to make Dalton some kind of warrior philosopher. Yet this critical savaging had an unexpected effect. The harsh reviews created a disconnect between professional opinion and audience enthusiasm. People went to see what the fuss was about and discovered they genuinely enjoyed what critics hated. That rejection ironically helped fuel its eventual cult status. Number 18. 5 Razzie nominations. The Golden Raspberry Awards, the Razzies, exist to mock Hollywood's worst cinematic achievements. In 1990, Roadhouse earned 5 nominations, a dubious honor that cemented its reputation as critically reviled. The categories included Worst Picture, Worst Actor for Patrick Swayze, Worst Director, and Worst Screenplay. Receiving multiple Razzie nominations stung, particularly for Swayze, who had poured genuine effort into the physically demanding role. For the crew who worked hard under budget constraints, the nominations reduced their efforts to punchlines. Yet time recontextualizes failure. Those Razzie nominations became badges of honor as Roadhouse transformed into a cult classic. The so bad it's good mythology helped rather than hurt. Today, those nominations are part of the film's charm, evidence that the best movies don't always get respect in their own time. Number 19. The very weird cultural legacy. Some movies disappear after their theatrical run, others escape into the cultural ecosystem and mutate in unexpected ways. Roadhouse took the second path, spawning references that transformed it from forgotten action flick into genuine phenomenon. The film's DNA appears in animated series, comedy sketches, and internet memes. Television shows from Family Guy to How I Met Your Mother have referenced or parodied Roadhouse, treating it as cultural shorthand everyone recognizes. Comedy clubs built sketches around Dalton's "be nice" philosophy. Online communities turned scenes into meme templates, with Swayze's mullet becoming visual vocabulary. Most bizarrely, the film found applications in real-world training contexts. Security professionals have referenced Dalton's approach, minus the throat-ripping, as surprisingly legitimate philosophy for handling aggressive situations. What started as schlocky action cinema somehow became teaching material. Number 20. Shot fast, under budget. Hollywood productions often become notorious for budget overruns and delayed schedules, but Roadhouse went the opposite direction. The film completed production ahead of schedule and came in under its $15 million budget, a minor miracle for an action movie requiring extensive stunt work, practical effects, and complex fight sequences. This efficiency resulted from careful planning and old-school filmmaking discipline. The production couldn't afford endless takes or expensive mistakes. Fight choreography was meticulously planned before cameras rolled. The decision to build the Double Deuce set gave complete control. Practical effects were engineered for success on minimal takes. The tight schedule shaped the film's raw energy. There wasn't time for endless polish, which gave Roadhouse its rough edges and immediate impact. The production proved that spectacular action didn't require blockbuster budgets, just smart planning, committed performers, and willingness to make every take count. Number 21. The lost 3-hour cut. Every film goes through editing, but Roadhouse underwent something more dramatic. A massive reduction from a reported 3-hour early cut down to its 114-minute theatrical version. Nearly half the film material disappeared, leaving behind tantalizing questions about what darker, more character-focused story the original might have told. The studio demanded heavy trimming, likely concerned audiences wouldn't sit through an extended philosophical action film. Whatever was cut remains largely mysterious. Extended character development, additional subplots, more exploration of Dalton's past, or scenes that push the violence beyond what theatrical release could support. Fans have speculated for decades about this lost footage. Could a director's cut exist somewhere in studio vaults? The phantom 3-hour version has become part of roadhouse mythology, a what-if scenario, suggesting the film audiences know is only half of what was originally intended. Number 22, the be nice philosophy. 3 simple words define Dalton's entire approach to his dangerous profession. Be nice. His explanation to the Double Deuce staff expands it slightly. Be nice until it's time not to be nice. But that core philosophy became the film's most quotable and surprisingly applicable wisdom. The be nice mantra reflects de-escalation principles that security professionals actually use. Start with respect, maintain calm, give people chances to make better choices, and only resort to force when all other options fail. Dalton's approach was strategic violence management wrapped in politeness. Being nice conserved energy and made the inevitable violence more justified. This philosophy transcended the film to become widely quoted in contexts far beyond bouncer work. Leadership seminars reference it. Conflict resolution training borrows its principles. What began as dialogue in an action movie accidentally became legitimate life advice that balances idealism with realism. Number 23, the Riviera Easter egg. Sharp-eyed car enthusiasts watching Roadhouse noticed something odd. Dalton's beloved Buick Riviera isn't actually one car but 2. He drives a 1964 model in early scenes, then later appears with a 1965 model, with the film making no acknowledgement of the switch. The switch likely happened for practical production reasons, vehicle availability, damage during filming, or simply needing backup cars. The 1964 and 1965 Rivieras look similar enough that casual viewers wouldn't notice. But the models have distinct differences in trim and grille design that car aficionados immediately spotted. Rather than being a mistake that hurts the film, the Riviera swap became part of its cult appeal. Fans debate whether Dalton deliberately switched cars, or if it's simply a continuity error. The automotive Easter egg represents the kind of imperfection that makes Roadhouse more endearing. Number 24, punk legend in a cameo. Casting directors sometimes make choices that add unexpected layers of credibility, and Roadhouse pulled off one of these perfect minor casting decisions. The bartender who appears in several scenes is played by John Doe, co-founder of the legendary Los Angeles punk band X. John Doe wasn't just some musician dabbling in acting, he'd built a legitimate career in both fields. X had been hugely influential in the punk scene, and Doe translated that underground credibility into character roles requiring authentic toughness. His bartender feels genuinely at home in the chaos because Doe himself had spent years in rough clubs. Most viewers had no idea they were watching punk rock royalty pour drinks. But for those who recognized him, the cameo added another layer to Roadhouse's strange cultural mix, a film that refused to stay in any single lane. Number 25. How it became cult gold. The journey from box office disappointment and critical punching bag to beloved cult classic doesn't happen by accident. Roadhouse took that unlikely path through factors that transformed mockery into affection and dismissal into devotion. Home video proved crucial. VHS and later DVD allowed Roadhouse to bypass theatrical failure and find viewers in their living rooms. Cable television played it constantly, introducing the film to audiences who might never have chosen it deliberately. Each viewing revealed new quotable lines and new reasons to appreciate its sincere commitment to absurdity. Midnight movie culture embraced Roadhouse as perfect participatory cinema. Audiences quoted dialogue, cheered fight scenes, and celebrated the film's contradiction of being simultaneously terrible and wonderful. Roadhouse became cult gold by refusing to apologize for itself. From a philosophy degree that rewrote action heroes to a mullet Patrick Swayze despised, Roadhouse is a film built on contradictions. Critics savaged it with 5 Razzie nominations, while audiences turned it into midnight movie gold. Elvis's bodyguard shared scenes with a punk rock royalty, while real musicians played fake gigs, and Dalton switched Buicks mid-story. The film's journey from critically mocked failure to enduring cult classic proves that the best entertainment doesn't always follow the rules. If you enjoyed these hidden secrets, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into classic films. Which Roadhouse secret surprised you the most? Tell us in the comments.